Hey, welcome to DC All Access. On today's show, we've got such a...
One second. Hello, Commissioner? You say today's Batman Day? No, sorry, man. You say today is actually Batman Day. So that means that Bat fans from around the country can go to their favorite retailers, get a free special edition of Detective Comics 27, plus other Bat-related memorabilia.
Okay, this is gonna take a while.
And the Cape Cal Create exhibit is something that actually features all of your favorite artists reimagining Batman's iconic look, and it's all for charity?
In the meantime, why don't you check out the Batman 75th Anniversary hardcover commemorative edition that includes 3 of Batman's most iconic stories.
Wait, plus we get to take a look at the process behind the amazing artwork in Batman 0 Year, and my fly has been down the entire time. Thanks, Commissioner!
Who was that?
Nobody.
He was right about your fly, though.
Mark, issue 33 of Batman is the end of a story that has been told for a very long time. For the fans that maybe are just touching into it now, what do they need to know leading up to 33?
0 Year is a retelling of Batman's origin in a way that you've never seen before, where Batman goes up against one of his greatest foes, one of my favorite enemies, the Riddler. And it's all been building up to this issue. 33 is the finale of 0 Year.
And we've talked a lot to Scott and Greg about kind of their process on Batman, but we haven't actually spoken to the guy behind the guys about the entire process. So walk me through issue 33 from like the second that Scott sends you an outline, or even before that, the second you guys sit down to talk about what that issue is going to look like.
The outline is something that you established months and months and months ago.
Right.
So we sort of know, okay, here's our story, here's the whole shape of the thing. Once the script comes in, I go through, I read, I talk to Scott, and I say, okay, this looks great. Do you think we need more time for this, or should we move this earlier, or is this the perfect place to end it? Oftentimes the dialogue is something that we'll push back and wait until we actually start seeing the art. I mean, a lot of dialogue is in there, kind of placeholder dialogue, but it's something that we'll hold off on and say, okay, well, let's see the art, and then we can kind of go back and tweak. And then that goes to Greg, and then Greg pencils from there. And then at that point, what you do is put that continuity hat on, put that editor hat on, look at it and say, okay, wait, let's go back to the original script and say, did we hit those beats that we wanted to hit? Oh yes, we did, everything looks good. Or should we tweak this panel? We need a little more room. Well, that wasn't the impact that I was hoping for. And then from there, Greg's pencils go to Danny Mickey, who inks. And at that point, you're not asking for any changes or anything like that.
Right.
Scott and Greg are happy with, yes, this page is perfect. It's exactly what we want it to be. So then we move over to the ink phase. So then the next step in the process after Danny does his inks is that FCO does color. And color, especially in the past 10 years or so of comics, has changed a lot, and there's so much that we can do digitally now that we couldn't do before. So that's a really fascinating process to see. Once the pages are colored, the letters and colors can kind of be going on at the same time. And then from there, now we're all reading art and words together and saying, does this all make sense? Does this all make sense? Yes. Making our final corrections and then send it off to the printer.
And you said something interesting earlier that I definitely want to touch on. There are those iconic moments that you shoot for, whether that be a piece of dialogue or, in this particular case, a piece of art. We read the script, you had the outline, and then you actually saw that in this issue, and I'd love for you to show me that moment.
Yeah, well, I felt like specifically with this issue, we were building up to a lot of specific beats, and there are great beats within this that I think people are gonna be, I don't know if you stand up and cheer when you're reading a comic book, but I think this is gonna be one of those books.
Yeah.
But specifically for this, we've been building up to the confrontation between Batman and Riddler, that once we got to the point, and when I was reading the original draft of the script, we got to the point where it's like, okay, and then Batman finally punches the Riddler.
Right.
And we were kind of going back and forth about it and saying, well, what else should we have on the page? And should we do this? Should we do that? And we were just saying, this is going to be a major moment. We got to give this a full splash page. So it is. It's such an amazing splash page. I think that for myself and sort of watching it come together and coalesce, and definitely for Scott and Greg as they've been doing it, I think there's been a lot of discovery about, oh, I never thought of it, but I actually think this might have been the motivation for this thing. Or, you know what, we've never talked about this before, but this is actually something that I think Batman would have done given this scenario. And there's actually a pretty major character moment in this that I know we've never seen before in a Batman origin that I think is really gonna hit home with fans.
Wow, interesting that you can have that kind of discovery after 75 years.
75 years and you're still discovering just how crazy Batman is.
Right.
Pack a bag because DC All Access is taking you to San Diego Comic-Con.
not like literally taking you to San Diego.
No, I mean, we're taking you through the magic of video.
It's true. Although, you know what, we could probably fit like one person in my room, because I'll get a twin bed and they can sleep on the floor.
Or you could subscribe to the channel and it'll be just as good as being there, because we're gonna bring you everything right from the show floor all through Comic-Con weekend.
I could get like a big bathtub though. We could probably sleep two, especially if we stay at like a Westin.
It's really sweet, Blair, but they can just watch video.
You could do that too.
Yeah.